Coming up on Network Africa, police fire tear gas at protesters amid election tension in Mozambique. A million people hit by flooding in South Sudan, one of the worst flooding seasons the country has seen. Plus, a 7-story building collapses in Nairobi, Kenya. Hello and welcome everyone to a new week on Network Africa. I am Layo Olarinde, bringing you stories from across the continent. Well, let's begin this week with stories and happenings that made headlines over the weekend.
The Sudanese Armed Forces, SAF, on Saturday announced their control over the Lamad area in the southern part of Sudan's capital, Khartoum, as a deadly conflict between the Sudanese Armed Forces and the Rapid Support Forces rages on in the capital and other parts across the country. The SAF said the armored troops launched attacks from its headquarters in southern Khartoum and defeated the Rapid Support Forces, seizing a large number of weapons and ammunition and establishing full control over the Lamab area, which sits near the base. Since starting their largest operation in Khartoum in September, the Sudanese Armed Forces is said to have secured control of 3 crucial bridges in Khartoum, as well as areas of Al-Hafaya and Al-Qadra in northern Khartoum and the Al-Mogran region. Still on Saturday, Senegal repatriated 117 citizens from Lebanon amid escalating hostilities between Israel and the Hezbollah militant group. Emotional scenes unfolded at Dakar airport as families welcomed returnees, among them a father who had brought his injured daughter home for medical care and described losing his son in a recent explosion in southern Lebanon. Senegal, with its significant Lebanese diaspora community, has historical ties to both Lebanon and Palestine.
As you know, we have quite a number of Senegalese in Lebanon. Lebanon has a very historical, long ties to Senegal. We have a large population of Senegalese. Some of them are Senegalese single nationality. Others have are Senegalese and Lebanese nationality. And we said that, given the situation of really hostilities, bombardments, a lot of displaced people, the government had the responsibility to act.
The repatriation followed a protest in Dhaka early on Saturday, where demonstrators, including many from the city's Lebanese community, called for a ceasefire across the Middle East. On Sunday, the World Health Organization's Director General, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, said the spread of the Marburg virus is being managed in Rwanda, noting that continued vigilance is essential despite a positive trend over the past week.
We're very pleased that there have been no new cases and deaths in the past 6 days. And I can see that the outbreak is being managed under strong leadership. But we're dealing with one of the world's most dangerous viruses, and continued vigilance is essential. As you know, we have 2 other candidate vaccines in the pipeline. I think 3 actually, from the Oxford University, from Public Health Vaccines, and IAVI. And I'm really glad that tropical diseases like Marburg virus, which is dangerous, is getting the attention, and we have vaccines in the pipeline. Nishimiye Kuba Rwanda.
The WHO still considers the risk of further spreading of the Marburg virus in Rwanda to be very high, but low on a global scale.
Into our stories for today, in Mozambique, clashes have erupted between police and protesters amid widespread election tensions across the country. In the capital, Maputo, on Monday, police fired tear gas as hundreds of people took to the streets to protest the killing of an opposition lawyer last week. New opposition party Podemos lawyer Elvino Diaz, who was also an advisor to its presidential candidate Venancio Mondlane, died alongside party official Paulo Guambe. They were gunned down late on Friday night after attackers chased their cars they were traveling in. Their deaths come as the country is waiting for the results of the contested October 9 election. The results are due on the 24th of this month, with provincial results showing a probable win for the ruling party Frelimo, which has governed Mozambique since its independence from Portugal in 1975. Opposition parties are crying foul, and Podemos has called for a nationwide strike. Well, Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema has sacked 3 top judges he previously suspended over alleged judicial misconduct. This latest move is drawing further accusations of political interference in the country's judiciary. Well, the 3 Constitutional Court judges presided over a presidential petition back in 2016 in which they dismissed Mr. Hichilema's challenge against the election victory of former President Edgar Lungu. They also took part in a controversial ruling allowing Mr. Lungu to stand in the 2021 elections despite having twice served as Zambia's president. Well, their dismissal comes after they lost a court application for a review of a judicial panel's decision recommending their suspension. On Sunday evening, a statement released by the presidency said they had been removed with immediate effect following a recommendation by the Judicial Complaints Commission, the JCC. Away from politics now, the United Nations humanitarian organization says over 1 million people in South Sudan have been affected by floods across much of the country. More than a quarter of those, many of them in the northern region, have been forced to flee their homes because of rising waters. Well, the displaced are seeking refuge on higher grounds, but the rains have also meant that getting aid to those in need had become increasingly difficult. Since the rains began, 15 major supply routes have been rendered impassable, affecting the delivery of essential humanitarian aid to about 500,000 people in different parts of the country. This is said to be one of the worst flood seasons that South Sudan, a country of over 11 million people, has experienced in recent decades. And it's coming even as South Sudan continues to deal with the impact of the 18-month civil war in neighboring Sudan. Well, communities from remote Kadiba, that's located in Mundre East, the county in South Sudan's western equatorial states, are facing severe economic hardships exacerbated by a lack of adequate road connectivity, and it's also hampering their access to schools, hospitals and markets. Well, to address some of these issues, the United Nations mission in the country, along with humanitarian and government partners, visited residents. Jane Coney, the head of the mission's field office in Yambio, affirmed that the UN peacekeeping mission will support and work with local authorities and also humanitarian partners to foster lasting peace and development in and around Kadiba.
There is peace, there is security, and it is only on this firm foundation that honestly the people of Mundre East, together with the leadership of the Honorable Commissioner and that of the state leadership, it can allow each and every one of us to walk with you and see how far we can go towards sustainable development and peace.
We're in Kenya now, where at least one person is injured after a 7-story apartment building collapsed in Nairobi, the capital. According to the governor, Johnson Sakaja, the victim was just outside the building when it abruptly went down in Kahawa West. Well, search and rescue efforts set to continue by the Nairobi City Council and multi-agency rescue teams. Mr. Sakaja also says the households in the affected building had been issued an evacuation notice last week by the county planning department, and so they're not expecting many casualties. The Kenya Red Cross said on Sunday that 2 people had been rescued and taken to the Kenyatta Teaching Hospital, 2 adjacent buildings, which also exhibited signs of structural failures. The tenants were also told to evacuate. Let's get more on this talk. Joining us now is Kenyan journalist Cyrus Sombati for more. Hello, Cyrus. Thank you for your time. Thankfully, no one has died, even though we have 1 person injured at this time. But we understand, the search and rescue continues.
Good evening. Yeah, the search and rescue mission actually entered day 2 today, but according to the governor of Nairobi, Mr. Johnson Sakaja, he says that so far they have accounted for all people who are in that building. Remember, the entire building, which had almost 70 tenants, had been evacuated since that's on Saturday night coming to Sunday, because there were cracks that were seen on the building, so there were measures which were being taken to evacuate all those who were there. But then they are doing the final checks, because the military has joined the whole process to ensure that anybody being, or rather was trapped there, is actually rescued or removed the dead. But then according to the governor, he says that they have accounted for all those people who are in the house by then. We understand that there were around 8 Masons who were working on the walls of the building after it was evacuated by the owner, to kind of rectify where the cracks were. But then they noticed the building was collapsing, then they ran away. As we talk now, the authorities are saying that they can account for all the people who are in that building for now. Thank you.
So what is to become, of that area, the government's plan? And I'm asking, we know the residents had been asked to evacuate.
Well, the place where the building was standing is when it came down. It kind of came down like all the slabs came down, and there were rubble, so it has to be cleared, all of it. And we also are told that the building adjacent to it also developed cracks, so the tenants who are living there have been told to evacuate. So it means that the owners or the authorities now have to replan again for construction of a new house, if any. The whole house in that area, it costs almost 20 million Kenyan shillings. That's a lot of money, because there were 8 floors up, that 8-floor building, and they were containing all 70 tenants. And then the second building is also having the same number of tenants. So since morning, they have been evacuating the house so that they can ensure their safety. Now, from there, the authorities, the county government here has to plan on what to do next. Does it mean that we have to develop it? What does it take to develop it? Is it a fresh plan, a new supervision? It's expensive and demanding. That's for now. That's what we know, because it's a whole new process which has to begin.
And in Kenya, building collapses are a bit common, especially in Nairobi, the capital. What does this say about the building standards of the country?
This is not the first time we are having such an issue here in Nairobi. It's not only Nairobi, but adjacent urban areas. Actually, there have been a series of incidents where buildings are collapsing. They end up being fatal in some areas. Some people are left with injuries, property are destroyed. The problem is kind of supervision from authorities. Corruption also is another issue, because such incidents should not be happening if they are following the laid down standards and procedures. The standards of some buildings in Nairobi, especially, they are demanding, they are calling, because they are not good, they are not up to standard. So this whatever happened yesterday in Nairobi, it's a calling, rather it should be a wake-up call to authorities to come out and inspect the standards of the buildings. The problem also comes in with the courts, because whenever there's that program of checking on the standards of these buildings, which are supposed to be weak and which were built under the supervision of the county government, courts issue orders to stop the same. So then in the end, they become a danger to the people who are living there. We hope that going forward, things will be changing, because it's threatening, or rather it's shocking, because there's so many high-rise buildings which are coming up now in Nairobi, and supervision has been a problem, a challenge to some.
Finally, will there be any compensation for these residents who have been displaced, as a result of this, the evacuations?
Unfortunately, there will be no compensation for those people affected, because it's individual who chose to go and live there. Even if you follow the owner of that house, he will tell you he has gone a loss because of the collapse. So it will be another long journey to get back your money, if any. But officially, there will be no compensation from any authorities or the owner, because people now want to sympathize with the owner of the house, but then you see, they also the one to blame, because maybe he had shortcuts and he constructed the house. So it's a loss for the tenants who are living there, and a loss for the owner of the house. So it stands to be like that for now. Nothing more can be done. Just wait and see.
Welcome back to the program. Farmers in Cameroon are facing a rise in theft of their cocoa produce. At the Mbam-Ekim region, the farmers are raising the alarm and calling on authorities to take action, as rising cocoa prices, driven by a global shortage, have led to a surge in theft. In the village of Ntui, farmers harvesting cocoa beans at a local plantation are placing amulets on trees, hoping to cast a spell on thieves trying to steal their produce and drive them away from their farm. Cocoa producer Akolo Nogo Emmanuel says the recent spike in theft is unprecedented, claiming local police are not doing enough to deter would-be criminals. Emmanuel says he's never seen anything like it.
Theft has become so recurrent, we've never seen anything like it before. It's really very serious, to the point where you are being robbed night and day. We're experiencing losses, and that's creating problems in terms of paying the workers in the fields.
Farmer Emmanuel also complains of a problem with the police when the thieves are caught.
We have a problem with the police. For example, when we catch thieves and take them to the police, after a day or two, they end up back on the streets, because you see the same person again in the village. That's discouraging.
The cocoa farmer now calls on fellow producers to not give up in protecting their crops.
Je dirais à mes collègues producteurs,
I would like to say to my fellow producers that we must not give up, that we must go on the attack and try to counter these thieves using every possible means.
Même si on est dessus au niveau de la gendarmerie, par exemple.
According to local reports, the surge in prices in Cameroon stems from adverse weather conditions and plant diseases at plantations in cocoa-growing powerhouses such as Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana. Meanwhile, crops in the country have reportedly tripled over the past year as buyers look to its deregulated economy to meet growing global demand. An invasive species of bird known as the Indian house crow has become a growing threat to poultry farmers along the coast of Kenya. As a result, some farmers like Dancing Safari have given up on rearing chickens. However, scientists believe they have found a solution to Indian house crow multiplication.
Kenyan farmer Dancing Safari was forced to give up poultry rearing after losing hundreds of chickens to attacks from aggressive Indian house crows, which are multiplying along the country's coast.
I have been doing chicken farming for 2 years, but now I see that there is a challenge for me due to this animal called a crow. I had 200 chickens and I have lost them to crows, eaten by crows.
Sometimes when I'm eating at the beach like this, a crow can come and take my food, such as fish, and they carry it away.
The invasive species was originally brought to East Africa from the Indian subcontinent in 1891, and researchers estimate that there are almost 1 million of them in Kenya today.
They are now actually predating on our indigenous species. So they will go for nests of indigenous birds, they will take the eggs, they will take the chicks, they will take even the adult birds. They will destroy them, they will eat them.
The growing threat has prompted Kenyan authorities and conservation groups to turn to a chemical called starlicide to eliminate the pests while minimizing harm to other birds. Since being deployed, starlicide has killed approximately 200 crows in a month in the coastal town of Watamu. The crows have also been seen along the road connecting the port city of Mombasa to Nairobi, prompting fears that they could decimate biodiversity within Kenya's capital, especially in Nairobi's National Park, home to hundreds of bird species.
Well, as the civil war rages in Sudan, a cholera outbreak has also spread to 11 states with close to 26,000 cases and 722 deaths. Residents in the capital, Khartoum, are grappling with a worsening water crisis. They now have to fetch water from the Nile River using carts or purchase untreated water, which has become scarce. The city's key water infrastructure, including a Nile River water treatment plant and several urban supply stations, have been severely damaged in the ongoing fighting. In addition, a shortage of personnel and spare parts means networks in multiple districts have been disrupted for months, and that has left tens of thousands of people and households without water. Well, in combating the cholera disease, an oral vaccination campaign targeting 1.4 million people began over the weekend in Kassala, Gedaref, and River Nile states by the local authorities, the WHO, and UNICEF. Here in Lagos State, the government has flagged off the supplemental immunization activities at the Ifako-Ijaye local government area. The exercise, which was carried out by Special Advisor on Mineral Resources, Mrs. Victoria Olowu, says vaccinations play a vital role in preventing health issues and also reflects the state government's commitment to elevating healthcare standards for its residents.
It's the official flag-off ceremony of the supplemental immunization activities at Ifako-Ijaye local government area of Lagos. Nursing mothers bring their children for the vaccination exercise, and the pupils are also not left out.
No one will be immunized without their consent. It is very, very important. So their consent forms, parents have to fill the consent forms for the children to say, yes, go ahead and get this vaccine.
The campaign targets 3 major infections, including yellow fever, measles, and human papillomavirus, with a focus on specific age groups for each.
I hereby want to use this medium to reassure our people of the safety and efficacy of vaccines. We should all avoid rumors, misinformation, disinformation, and wrong perceptions about immunization.
This momentous event underscores the critical importance of immunization in preventing vaccine-preventable diseases and ensuring that our children, young people, and adults are equipped to live healthy, productive lives.
The state government encourages parents to take advantage of the exercise and keep their children safe.
Measles and yellow fever are highly contagious diseases that can spread rapidly, especially in densely populated areas like Lagos.
The government has gone to a lot of effort and a lot of expense to make sure that these vaccines are available for you. It would be a shame for anyone to die of a vaccine-preventable disease or be maimed for life by a vaccine-preventable disease that was available on their doorstep.
Representative of the First Lady of Lagos and the person of Special Advisor on Mineral Resources, Victoria Olowu, says the exercise is a reflection of the Lagos State government's commitment to elevating healthcare standards for its residents.
By vaccinating our young girls, we are not just protecting them from a virus, but we are safeguarding their futures, their dreams, and their potential to contribute to our society. This integrated campaign is not just about vaccines. It is about creating healthier communities and a healthier future for all of us.
The initiative aims to provide immunization services for ages ranging from 9 months to 44 years of age for yellow fever, 9 to 59 months for measles, and girls between the ages of 9 and 14 for HPV.
And finally, on the program, Egypt has been certified malaria-free by the World Health Organization. It's an achievement hailed by UN Public Health Agency as truly historic. WHO Chief Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus says malaria is as old as Egyptian civilization itself, but the disease that plagued pharaohs now belongs to its history. Well, Egyptian authorities launched their first efforts to stamp out the deadly mosquito-borne infectious disease nearly 100 years. Certification is granted when a country proves that the transmission chain is interrupted for at least the previous 3 consecutive years. At least 600 people die every year from malaria, and nearly all of them here in Africa. A historic feat for Egypt. That's it on the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.